Beloved brothers and sisters, I want you to understand something very profound today. Everything in this universe, everything seen and unseen, is vibrating at a certain frequency. The chair you are sitting on, the body you carry, even the thoughts that run through your mind, all of these carry an energy, and that energy has a frequency. This is not just a scientific observation, it is a spiritual reality. When God created the heavens and the earth, He spoke it into being. And when He spoke, that word carried a sound, a vibration, a frequency that brought forth life. So if creation itself was birthed from divine frequency, how much more important is it for us to be aware of the frequency we carry in our own lives? You see, the life you are living today is not accidental. It is a reflection of the energy you consistently project. If you wake up each morning weighed down by worry, anger, or bitterness, those emotions will lower your frequency. And when your frequency is low, you begin to attract circumstances, people, and experiences that align with that vibration. Some of you may wonder why certain negative patterns keep repeating in your lives. You pray, you work hard, and still you feel stuck. Beloved, could it be that it is not only your actions that need to change, but the frequency of your inner life? When you begin to lift your frequency, everything starts to shift. Your thoughts begin to change, your emotions begin to heal, your perspective opens up, and suddenly doors that were closed begin to open. Why? Because your life is now resonating with a higher order of energy. Think about a radio. If you want to hear a certain station, you cannot stay on the wrong frequency. You have to tune the dial until it matches the exact vibration of the signal. Then, and only then, do you hear the clear music. In the same way, your spirit must be tuned to the right frequency to experience the fullness of what God has prepared for you. Some of you have been tuned to the frequency of fear. You expect the worst, and somehow the worst finds its way to your door. Others have been tuned to the frequency of lack. You believe deep down that there is never enough, not enough money, not enough time, not enough love, and so you keep attracting scarcity. But, beloved brothers and sisters, when you shift to the frequency of faith, abundance, gratitude, and love, you begin to resonate with heaven itself. Suddenly, life no longer feels heavy, it feels lighter, brighter, and filled with possibility. This is not about denying reality. It is about shaping reality with the energy you choose to carry. The Word of God says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." That means your inner vibration is constantly writing the script of your outer life. When you carry peace, you create peace. When you carry joy, you spread joy. When you carry love, you attract love. And the more consistently you raise your frequency, the more your entire life rises with it. So let me say to you with all my heart, your frequency determines your life. Raise your frequency. Beloved brothers and sisters, let us take a moment to look deeper into the connection between our minds and our emotions, because this is where so much of our frequency is shaped. Every thought that passes through your mind is not just a fleeting idea, it is a seed. And when that seed takes root, it produces an emotion. Those emotions, whether positive or negative, then create the atmosphere of your inner life. Think about it. When you dwell on fear, when you rehearse your failures, when you meditate on what might go wrong, the fruit of those thoughts is anxiety, discouragement, and heaviness. That emotional weight lowers your frequency, and before long, it begins to color how you see the world around you. On the other hand, when you allow your mind to dwell on what is good, what is pure, what is hopeful, what is filled with gratitude, then joy and peace begin to flow out of you. Those emotions lift your frequency, and the world you experience begins to change. It is not that your circumstances always shift overnight, but the way you see them, the way you respond to them, becomes transformed. You no longer see obstacles as walls that keep you out. You begin to see them as doors waiting to be opened. That is the power of the mind and emotion connection. It is the steering wheel of your frequency. Many people live unaware of this truth. They believe that emotions just happen, that they are at the mercy of their feelings. But beloved, emotions follow thoughts. When you train your mind to think higher, your emotions will rise with it. This is why the scripture tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. God understands that if your mind is renewed, your emotions will be renewed, and your frequency will be renewed. And when your frequency is lifted, your life begins to align with the promises of God rather than the fears of the flesh. Think about a person who constantly complains. No matter what blessings come their way, they find something to criticize. That negativity becomes their mindset, and their emotions echo it, keeping them in a low frequency. But now imagine someone who practices gratitude every day. They may not have everything they want, but they give thanks for what they do have. That mindset produces joy, hope, and peace. It raises their frequency, and before long, it changes the very opportunities that come their way. Gratitude becomes a magnet for greater blessings. Beloved brothers and sisters, this is why it is so important to guard your thoughts. Do not let the enemy plant lies in your mind that will produce fear in your emotions. Do not allow old wounds to keep replaying themselves in your imagination, creating fresh pain every day. Instead, choose to fill your mind with the promises of God, with faith, with hope, and with love. When you do this, your emotions will begin to heal, your frequency will rise, and your life will bear the fruit of peace and abundance. So remember this truth: negative thoughts and emotions will lower your frequency, but positive, faith-filled thoughts will lift you higher into the life God desires for you. Beloved brothers and sisters, I want to speak to you about something that often goes unnoticed, but has a tremendous impact on the frequency of our lives: our environment and the influences we allow around us. Just as a plant cannot thrive in poor soil, your spirit cannot flourish in a toxic environment. The atmosphere you place yourself in, the people you surround yourself with, the words you listen to, the images you watch, and the voices you allow into your heart, all of these shape the vibration you carry. Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly absorbing the energy of your environment. If you spend most of your time with people who complain, gossip, and carry bitterness, it will not be long before their low frequency begins to weigh you down. You may start to notice your own thoughts becoming more critical, your joy dimming, and your hope shrinking. On the other hand, when you walk with those who are filled with faith, gratitude, and vision, their energy lifts you. Their words spark inspiration. Their faith strengthens your faith, and their joy becomes contagious. That is the power of influence. It is like a tuning fork. When it is struck, anything nearby begins to resonate with its frequency. In the same way, the people around you affect the song of your life. Some of you may feel stuck, not because you lack potential, not because God has not blessed you, but because you are surrounded by the wrong voices. You are listening to those who tell you it cannot be done, those who focus on limitations, those who speak death instead of life. Beloved, if you want your frequency to rise, you must be intentional about choosing your environment. Sometimes that means creating distance from negativity. Sometimes it means finding new circles, new communities, new relationships that breathe life into you instead of draining it out of you. It is also not just about people. Think about the spaces you live in. If your home is filled with chaos, clutter, or constant noise, it will affect your spirit. But when you cultivate an environment of peace, perhaps through prayer, uplifting music, or simply keeping your space clean and welcoming, you create an atmosphere that nourishes your soul. The same applies to what you consume mentally and emotionally. The books you read, the shows you watch, the conversations you entertain, these are not neutral. They either raise your frequency or lower it. That is why we must be vigilant. For what enters through the eyes and ears will eventually settle in the heart. When you make the decision to fill your environment with light, with hope, With encouragement, you will begin to notice how your inner frequency rises. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions more stable, your vision more expansive. And when your frequency rises, the opportunities and relationships that come into your life will begin to reflect that higher state. God does not call us to live in constant heaviness. He calls us to live in His light, and that means choosing environments that align with His presence. So I urge you, beloved brothers and sisters, be mindful of your environment and influences, for they shape the frequency you carry and the life you live. Beloved brothers and sisters, I want to share with you something very practical about raising your frequency. Many of us think that transformation comes only through big, dramatic changes. But in truth, it is the small, consistent practices of daily life that shape the energy we carry. Your frequency is not determined by one single moment. It is built by the rhythm of your days, by the habits you cultivate, and by the choices you make again and again. When you begin to live with awareness, intentionally bringing practices into your life that lift your spirit, you will see your whole frequency rise naturally. One of the most powerful practices is gratitude. When you wake up in the morning and choose to give thanks, even for the simplest blessings, a breath of fresh air, a new day, the gift of life, you immediately shift your energy. Gratitude opens the heart and lifts the spirit, no matter what circumstances you may face. It tunes you to the frequency of abundance instead of lack. Another practice is meditation and prayer. When you still your mind, when you quiet the noise of the world, and you center yourself in God's presence, your frequency is cleansed and strengthened. The worries that weigh you down begin to lose their grip, and your heart is filled with peace. Even the physical things we do can raise our vibration. When you move your body, whether through walking, dancing, or exercise, you are not just strengthening muscles, you are releasing energy, allowing joy and vitality to flow more freely through you. Music also carries a profound frequency. When you listen to uplifting songs, or when you worship with all your heart, your spirit begins to resonate with higher vibrations. It is no accident that worship has always been central in drawing us closer to God. It raises our frequency to align with heaven itself. Nature too has a way of restoring our energy. Spending time under the open sky, walking among trees, or standing by the sea resets your frequency. Creation is alive with the fingerprints of God, and when you immerse yourself in it, your spirit remembers its connection to the source of all life. These are not complicated things, but they are powerful, and they do not need to take hours. Even a few moments each day, consistently practiced, can shift the entire atmosphere of your life. The key is consistency. Many people try to make great leaps, but give up because the effort feels too heavy. But beloved, when you commit to small steps, giving thanks each morning, setting aside a few minutes for prayer, choosing uplifting music instead of negativity, you will see a steady transformation. Over time, these practices weave together into a lifestyle that naturally carries a higher frequency. Do not underestimate the power of what you do daily. Every choice you make either lowers or raises your vibration. So fill your days with practices that nurture your spirit, that keep your heart open, and that align your life with the presence of God. So I say to you, beloved brothers and sisters, it is in the daily practices of gratitude, prayer, movement, music, and nature that you lift your frequency and step into the life you were created to live. Beloved brothers and sisters, I want you to know that challenges are not a sign that something is wrong with your life. In fact, they are part of the journey, part of the shaping of your character, and part of the way God draws you closer to Him. The truth is this: your frequency will be tested most when life feels heavy. It is easy to carry joy when everything is working in your favor, but it is in the moments of pressure, in the storms of life, that your true vibration is revealed. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can allow the situation to pull you down into fear, anger, and despair, Or you can choose to rise, to respond in faith, and to keep your spirit aligned with God's higher purpose. Resilience is not simply the ability to survive, it is the power to keep your frequency from collapsing when circumstances try to shake you. Think of a musical instrument. If you strike it hard, the strings may tremble, but they do not break, they return to their proper note because they are tuned correctly. In the same way, when your life is tuned to God's truth, no matter how hard the enemy strikes, you will come back to your frequency of faith. You will not stay in the vibration of fear. So often, when trials come, people begin to speak defeat. They say, "I can't take this anymore," or "Nothing good ever happens for me." Those words lower their frequency even further, and their emotions spiral into despair. But beloved, the moment you choose to declare God's promises in the midst of your struggle, you shift your energy. You begin to rise above the storm instead of being consumed by it. This is alignment, choosing to see not only what is happening around you, but what God is doing through it. Let me remind you, the same heat that melts wax hardens clay. The same storm that destroys some lives strengthens others. It is not the challenge itself, but your response that determines whether your frequency falls or rises. If you choose fear, the trial will break you. If you choose faith, the trial will build you. If you focus only on the pain, your spirit will remain low. But if you focus on the growth, on the lessons, on the deeper trust in God that is being developed, your frequency will lift even in the darkest of nights. Beloved brothers and sisters, resilience is not pretending that pain does not exist. It is not denying tears or frustrations. Rather, it is making a decision that no matter how hard the winds blow, your heart will stay anchored in hope. It is saying, "I may be pressed, but I will not be crushed. I may be struck down, but I will not be destroyed. I will rise again." And every time you rise, your frequency rises with you. So let this truth sink deep into your heart. Challenges will come, but if you choose growth over fear and alignment over despair, your frequency will rise and you will step into a higher place of strength and victory. Beloved brothers and sisters, let us come to the heart of this message. When you raise your frequency, you are not only changing how you feel inside, you are shaping the entire quality of your life. The truth is, your frequency is like a signal that goes out into the atmosphere. It draws people, circumstances, and opportunities that match what you carry. If your spirit is weighed down with anger, fear, or bitterness, that is what you will continue to encounter. But when you carry peace, love, and faith, you will begin to attract situations that reflect those same higher vibrations. Life is not simply happening to you. In many ways, it is responding to you. I want you to understand that a high-frequency life is not about living without problems. It is about living with a different posture, a different spirit, a different expectation. When your frequency is lifted, your perspective shifts. You begin to notice blessings that were always around you, but hidden by the fog of negativity. You become more creative, more resilient, more open to solutions. Suddenly, what once felt impossible starts to feel within reach, because your spirit is no longer operating from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. Think about relationships. If your frequency is low, you may find yourself surrounded by conflict, misunderstandings, or people who take more than they give. But when your frequency rises, you naturally attract people who honor, encourage, and uplift you. Your relationships become healthier because you are no longer feeding off fear or insecurity. You are radiating love and stability, and that is what comes back to you. The same happens with opportunities. A low frequency closes doors because it keeps you in a mindset of defeat. But when you walk with high energy, filled with confidence and faith, doors begin to open. People notice the light in you. They sense the peace in you, and they are drawn to it. Beloved brothers and sisters, this is why it is so important to be intentional about raising your frequency. It is not only about your inner joy. It is about your destiny. It is about the kind of life you are building, the kind of legacy you are leaving, the kind of impact you are making on those around you. A high-frequency life influences your family, your community, and even generations to come. When you choose to live at a higher vibration, you are not only lifting yourself, you are lifting everyone connected to you. And let me tell you, this is not something far away or reserved for a few. Every one of you can live this way. It is not about perfection, it is about direction. Every time you choose love instead of hate, you raise your frequency. Every time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you raise your frequency. Every time you choose faith instead of fear, you raise your frequency. Step by step, choice by choice, you create a life that resonates with heaven's best. So I declare to you today, beloved brothers and sisters, when you raise your frequency, you raise your life into alignment with God's abundance. And you begin to live the purposeful, joyful, and victorious life you were always meant to live.